Beautiful and strong people, welcome back to the Deadlift Mastery. Today we're going to talk about setting the grip, lesson 4 of the Deadlift Mastery. Your grip is the only connection to the bar, so you gotta own it. But before we're actually talking about the grip and the types of grip, we should be talking a little bit about the grip width, because the grip width is very important to the lat tension and to pretty much the tension of your torso. So the torso is actually resisting against the tendency of the barbell to actually bend you forward. Okay, so a general rule of thumb, a golden rule of thumb actually, not just a general rule of thumb, the best lat tension is going to be found within shoulder width. And shoulder width is, again, let's say a range. It's not necessarily a fixed range. Okay, so it might be like half a finger out or half a finger in, but it's pretty much the same across the conventional pull or the sumo pull. You're going to notice me, for example, whether I'm gripping conventional or I'm gripping sumo, I'm having the same grip on the bar. And I know that when I'm gripping, I should be with my index finger within the start of the knurling. So I kind of know exactly tactically tactile actually, where the grip should actually be set. Okay, if the grip is too narrow, our shoulders will be jammed and the bar path will be awkward. If it's too wide, the arms will be, pretty much diagonal. It's going to be less efficient. You're going to have a lot of tension around your upper back. You're going to shorten the range of motion of your arms, which will make the range of motion of the deadlift a lot longer. Okay, so having the arms shoulder width is going to assure the best lat control in that, and it's also going to allow your arms to actually be as long as possible, because it's very important to have your arms straight and as long as possible. Now, in terms of grip styles, there is double overhand, which is pretty much the easiest, the safest, but also the weakest. You can't really pull that much weight with a double overhand in here, because the pure weight of the bar will actually start to force you to actually roll the bar into your hand and really lose the grip. If you have really big hands and big and strong hands, that might actually be, there are some people that are doing double overhand and they're having success with it, but most people are more inclined into going with a mixed grip. Okay, one over and one under. It's going to look something like this, the mixed grip, or in here. Okay, so one of the hand is in supination or external rotation, the other one is in pronation or internal rotation. Okay, so with this one, it's definitely stronger, but there is a slight risk of windmilling, especially if you have some let's say external rotation of the shoulder issues on the hand in which you're actually using it mixed. You're kind of ending up in a situation which your body can't really get into that position. Okay, so it kind of forces a little bit of flexion of the elbow. When that happens, a lot of that load is actually dumped on that hand. And because of that, we're going to start to actually see that windmill. Okay, because your hand just can't be stacked with the other one. Okay, it can't be long and let's say extended straight as the other one. So it has to flex and it has to actually take some of the load to finish off the movement. You're going to see people that break their biceps doing that. So it's actually a good idea to work on your external rotation mobility and internal rotation. Within the troubleshoot and fixes, we're actually going to see some potential drills to actually help with that. But if we have some external rotation difficulty, one thing that we can actually do, and this is going to be relevant to all the grips, is squeezing the triceps. And if we're squeezing the triceps and we notice that in order for this hand that's mixed, in order for it to actually be in line with the other hand, it kind of needs to actually open up a little bit, one finger out. We should be gripping the bar one finger out. Okay, so instead of having let's say the index finger on the knurling, normally we should have the pinky finger on the knurling. Okay, but if we have some poor external rotation, you're going to see me, I'm not exactly in line with it, although my external rotation is actually pretty good, but I'm like half a finger out because that's how I'm actually feeling comfortable. Okay, so because of that, you kind of need to line it up. Okay, so you need this arm is quite literally a little bit longer than this one. So because of that, you have to grip it with like, you know, half a finger or, you know, even a finger out. And if you're doing that, it's going to come a little bit more natural. You just have to, you know, grip it a little bit more wider. But you need to make sure that your arms are as long as possible, so you actually avoid that flexion of the elbow. Now, the hook grip, both are over. Thumb is strapped under the fingers. It's very, very strong, but painful for small hands. Like this one right here. This one. This is very painful. And, you know, my hands, if you're looking at them, you can notice that, you know, I have some baby hands in here. So no matter how much I actually tried the hook grip, I just couldn't be efficient with it. So I just stick with the mixed grip. With the hook grip, if you have really big, bulky hands with really long fingers, that might actually be a really good advantage for you. So if you're that type of guy, definitely try the hook grip and see how it actually feels. It's going to take a while to actually get used with it, but the really cool about the hook grip, the really cool thing about the hook grip is the fact that you can really lengthen your arm quite considerably, which will make the range of motion considerably less in the deadlift, which will, you know, potentially make you be able to handle a lot more load. But the other thing about the grip and the way you should be gripping is making sure that when you're gripping, you're not gripping it in the lower part of your palm like this. Okay, because what's going to happen, because of the gravity, the barbell will roll over. Okay, and that's why you're going to have a lot of, you know, these, let's say, damage of the tissue. I'm not sure what it's called in English right now, so I'm not going to bother with it. But ideally, we want to make sure that, you know, we're not gripping so low, okay, so it actually rolls into our hand, but more so we're trying to grip it within the lower phalanges of our fingers. So anywhere around here is a good place, because, you know, you're already going to be in the place in which it's going to actually roll, or even here. So you're grabbing, especially if you have like, you know, really long hands and really long fingers, you can even grip it here and grip it like this and still have success, because, you know, you're still giving it a little bit more range of motion on your arms, which will in turn actually shorten the range of motion on the deadlift. So that's something about how to properly grip the bar. And of course, chalk up. If your gym doesn't allow to actually chalk up, you're in big trouble. At least use straps. The straps might be, you know, also a good idea, but you still need to kind of train your grip to some degree. So doing something like some rack pulls or long holds might actually be a good idea. But, you know, speaking of straps, we want to think of our arms in generally as deadlift straps. Okay, so we want to keep them long and straight. We want no flexing or pulling before the lift. We want the lat engagement to make sure that it keeps the bar tight without bending the arms. Okay, so that's where the slack pull is actually coming from. We don't want any kind of slack within our arms. We don't want to hold the load within our arms. We just want to use our arms as hooks. So we're just connecting the hook to the bar so we can actually go through the pulling, and pretty much letting our hips and our legs to do the pulling. Okay. And in regards to engaging the lats, because this, you know, comes in conjunction with the grip. Okay, once the arms are long, you know, fully extended and there is no flexion around them, you can actually start to engage your lats. And the way we want to think about it is squeezing the bar into the body. You're going to notice right here, this is engaging my lats, okay, and trying to stand tall in this position. What this is going to do is pretty much is going to keep the bar as close as possible to you, and is going to prevent any kind of drifting of the bar forward. Okay, so the shoulders will be slightly tucked and back down, elbows just under but not flared. This will create stability from the bar to the torso and will make the pull much more efficient. And it's also going to keep pretty much your torso stacked and resisting the tendency of your body to actually round over. So as common mistakes, Of course, gripping too close or too wide, bending the arms instead of long arms, using a loose grip. In that, the bar will actually drift, and windmilling from uneven mixed grip. On that, we're going to touch a little bit more in depth on the troubleshoot and fixes. So stay on with that. So as a summary, grip should be around shoulder width for best lat control. Arms, we want them long, lats engaged. We can choose the grip style based on our anatomy and the load that we're actually going to be using, because double overhand can be a good tool to actually be used during the warm-ups to build some, let's say, some grip strength. Mixed grip when it gets heavier. Hook grip whenever, if it becomes more painful, you can just secure it for your top sets, and on the back downs just use mixed grip, or potentially doing it with straps. Always check even placement every repetition. Okay, so know exactly the landmarks where the grip should be actually set, and whether or not you have poor external rotation, making sure that you're gripping it a little bit outside, so you make sure that you're gripping it even, you're pulling pretty much evenly. A strong grip means a stable, controlled deadlift. Catch you on the next one.